Finland and Sweden have officially submitted applications to join the North Atlantic Alliance. The ambassadors of both countries handed over the documents to the Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg at the NATO headquarters in Brussels.
And I warmly welcome the requests by Finland and Sweden to join NATO. You are our closest partners, and your membership in NATO would increase our shared security. The applications you have made today are an historic step.
Sweden, along with Finland, have agreed to go hand in hand through the entire process. It's a clear signal that we are united on the way to the future. Sweden also counts on cooperation with Turkey as part of NATO. We expect it to be a new, important stage in our bilateral relations, as Sweden supports the fight against all kinds of terrorism and recognizes the list of terrorist organizations drawn up by the European Union and NATO. Turkey is to demand that Finland and Sweden recognize the Kurdish separatist organization Kurdistan Workers' Party as a terrorist organization. It also wants both of these countries to lift the arms export restrictions they have placed on Ankara. According to the Turkish government, the restrictions on weapons run counter to the spirit of the alliance. They want to come on Monday. I told them not to bother. There's no such need. Their attitude is clear. Terrorist organizations are still active in Sweden. Their marches continue. That is why I call on both of the decision makers that influence politics in the region and our allies in NATO. Support the legitimate, fair, and humane actions of Turkey, or at least do not try to prevent them. But not only Turkey is against a NATO enlargement. The president of Croatia, Zoran Milosevic, is also threatening a veto, citing the interests of the Croatian minority in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Nevertheless, the Joe Biden administration is confident that an agreement can be reached.
There was, over the weekend, and there has been, a strong consensus for bringing Finland and Sweden into the alliance if they so choose. The Secretary made the point that we are confident that we will be able to preserve that consensus should Finland, should Sweden formally apply for NATO membership.
Volodymyr Zelensky was the guest of honor at the Cannes Film Festival, which began yesterday on the Côte d'Azur. The president of Ukraine inaugurated one of the greatest events in the world of film, referring in his speech to the brave role of the legend of cinema Charlie Chaplin, who made the film The Dictator, a satire about Adolf Hitler during World War II. We need a new Chaplin to prove that today's cinema is not silent. Hatred will disappear and dictators will die. We must win in the end. We need a cinema that will guarantee us the end of what is happening, that will always be on the side of freedom. And, as it has always been so far, cinema will rise above evil. Meanwhile, Brussels is conducting intensive negotiations on the sixth package of sanctions against Russia. As the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, announced today, the community wants to allocate funds to the development of energy infrastructure in order to reduce dependence on Russian raw materials.
Putin's war is, as we all see, heavily disrupting the global energy market. It shows on one hand how dependent we are on imported fossil fuels, but it also shows how vulnerable we are on relying on Russia for importing our fossil fuels, and therefore we must now reduce as soon as possible, our dependency on Russian fossil fuels.
The EU also pledged to allocate further funds to support the Ukrainian army. As the head of the EU diplomacy, Josep Borrell, said, Ukraine is at a turning point in the war, and that is why we must now mobilize efforts and support the besieged country in its fight against the Russian aggressor.